A Dannyverk farm has suffered a devastating loss after rustlers made off with around 65 hand-reared calves, approximately worth about 60k. Farmer Jean Corbin discovered a gate had been cut, the padlock broken, and the calves were around 12 to 14 weeks old, are in high demand. Corbin said it's the second time she and her husband have had stock stolen by cattle rustlers in as many years, and sadly, the stock is untraceable due to the removable ear tags, making them virtually impossible to find, to recover. Corbin explained that unlike pets, livestock isn't microchipped, only ear tags are used, which of course can be snipped off easily. Despite partial insurance, about 20k, she anticipates premiums will skyrocket after this and believes the theft was likely to the work of someone within the farming community. Federated Farmers Chair Karl Dean describes the incident as a harsh reminder of rural crime's impact. And he joins me now. Karl, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Leah.
Karl, thanks for being available. I really appreciate it. Firstly, how prolific is cattle rustling, lambs, whatever animals they are? How prolific is it in New Zealand?
I suppose that on the larger scale, it isn't that common. You know, like we normally hear a couple of times a year of these large volumes that are stolen. But when you look at it on a smaller scale, if you look at one or two animals here or there, it's actually a lot larger problem than a lot of us realise at times.
Yeah. The Corbin family have been hit several times, and sadly their story isn't an isolated one, is it? How much do you know is it costing the industry?
I actually wouldn't, I'll be honest, I wouldn't have an idea of how much it is costing the industry. Again, like I said, there's sometimes those animals, for those ones and twos, they might get put down as, they went dead or they went missing, where in actual fact they may have been taken. So it'd be a pretty tricky one to figure on, but it would be substantial in some areas more than others.
Yeah. She believes, Karl, that the theft is likely someone within the farming community. In these cases, do you hear rumblings like that sometimes? Are we talking like people that know the farmers or the routine that they've got or someone even on like a farmhand? What's your theories?
I won't put any theories out there, but obviously to take 60 animals, fairly well organised. You know, they've got to have somebody to put those 60 animals.
Yeah.
They've got to have the ability to falsify records of those animals as well. So I mean, because everything is recorded in New Zealand, but as you did allude to in your intro there, the tags can be cut out, and that's there's no way to go to avoid that at this stage. But there's definitely, if there was cheap stock available, people should ask questions.
Yeah, so that was my next thought and question to you, Karl, is these particular calves, they've been stolen to order, do you think? Like they've got to be processed. Who's buying them? Or are they selling them off? Do they resell them or do they, sadly, are they slaughtered?
I highly doubt they would be slaughtered because of their age. So they most likely would be sold off. They're at the beginning of their life. Those sort of dairy cross animals are very sought after at that weaner stage, at the young stage there. And of course, an animal like that, when it's fully finished, could be worth up to $3,000. So you're talking about a loss of potential for the Corbins of close to $200,000 after a couple of years. That's a huge, it's the cumulative loss of the animal not being on the property, not being able to grow.
Yeah.
You've got to add all that in, and that's where we can't speculate on what's happened. But,
sure.
The police hopefully will find something, but it does happen to us.
Jean Corbin said that there's a flaw in the livestock identification system, and a simple ear tag, she says, just isn't good enough and would like to see GPS tracking systems embedded. What do you say to that? I get that, Karl, but my gosh, that would be expensive, would it not?
That would be my very first thing would be, it would be very expensive to implement. In the case, again, it would be how would you make sure that was secured to the animal, then what would stop someone cutting them out in the yards before they went on a truck. That would be, there's so many different ways. I mean, there's, it does sort of make you wonder if the age-old, they used to have brass ear tag in the ear. It's a lot harder to change, a lot harder to remove. Maybe there needs to be some calls in the future for secondary or triple measures to help those things.
Yeah. What are the penalties for, stealing livestock, Karl? Are they strict enough?
I would say it depends on what it is classed as. Because obviously under the Crimes Act, it just depends on not exceeding 7 years. But the question is that high enough when the value is getting so high in these animals as well?
Yeah, when you're talking 200,000 or more, like you said before. So is that it at the moment?
Yeah.
Yeah, potential. Sorry.
Yeah.
What does it stand at the moment?
So that would be the potential at the moment if those animals had grown through to 2.5 years old.
Yeah. But no, I meant like 7 years maximum, is it, for those caught?
Yeah, 7 years maximum in the Crimes Act at the moment.
Yeah, I suppose. I mean, 7 years is 7 years, but I mean, how many have been prosecuted or caught? And what about
the big question is how many get caught?
Yes, yeah. And Karl, what like advice do you give farmers? What do you give them for more security measures? What are farmers doing to protect their animals?
Yeah, I suppose we've had farmers install cameras. We've had farmers, and like the Corbyn said, they're padlocking the gates. They're taking as many measures as they can, as possible. But again, these things aren't happening. They're not working through the same. If someone wants to stop, it's the same as if someone wants to steal your car or burgle your home. If they're targeting you, they will find a way.
Determined they'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've just found an old article of ours, and about 6 years ago, it was estimated that it was costing the farming community $120 million a year livestock rustling. So that's probably closer to 200 million now.
Wowza. Yeah. Golly. Yeah, I thought it was. I'd read somewhere it was millions, but yeah, that's a lot of coin. Look, while I've got you, Karl, there is a good story. Great headline I saw this morning: economic optimism among farmers at record high. I saw this month's Fed Farms Confidence Survey showed 65% of farmers say they feel confident about their farm's profitability. That's up 12 points from January and the highest ever recorded. I mean, that's fabulous. What's behind this, do you think?